So about a couple weeks ago, some guy by the name of Michael Oman Reagan, as you can see on screen right now, decided he wanted to call out the Oxford Dictionary for being apparently sexist in their usage of example sentences. So we're going to take a look at a couple of those today. Me and Mike, go ahead and say hello, Mike.
Hey, everybody.
And we're going to talk about why he's either right or wrong, depending on the situation. So let's go ahead and take a look at the first one. Rabid. It's an adjective, and having or proceeding from an extreme or fanatical support of or belief in something. And the example sentence is a rabid feminist, and he decided that he was going to say, or ask Oxford, why a rabid feminist is the usage example of rabid in your dictionary. You want to just like kind of point out the obvious here, or should I?
You go ahead and start. I've got a few things to say on it.
Okay, well, first of all, because a rabid feminist is attacking the example sentence in a dictionary. That's why rabid feminist is the usage example. Just pointing that out.
It's a bit ironic, I think.
Yeah. Like, seriously, what is wrong with this dude that he spends his time going through the dictionary and trying to find sexist or quote unquote sexist examples?
Well, he's a PhD student, I believe, is what his Twitter feed proclaims him as. So he's actually studying a lot of different things. And during the course of getting your PhD, you have to do a great amount of research to find out who has been making advances in your field and supplying a new idea that hasn't been tried before so that we can advance the sciences. That's the whole point of the PhD program, is so
Okay.
that you get in there and you say, okay, well, so-and-so's been researching in this area, but nobody's been looking in this little gap over here, so I'm going to be looking. So I think that he came across this as kind of an accident as he was researching something else. And being a rather effective warrior for social justice, he immediately pounced upon the fact that he believed that many of these references are sexist. And
So, oh,
in some cases, I can't entirely disagree with him,
yeah, there's a few
but
examples where I was like, okay, that's kind of weird, but it's just an
well
example
then
sentence. It's not
well
like it's
then why
trying to.
is the example for rape only males? Only males are allowed to rape anyone,
Yeah, that's definitely something worth social
which is
justice
also sexist.
warrioring.
But the thing of it is, the greater amount of rapes occur by men, whether it's against men or against women, and the occurrence of rapes where women are raping women is not as extensive, I believe, according to the FBI's rape statistics.
Yeah,
But
precisely.
this example, just to bring it back to this particular point, having or proceeding from an extreme or fanatical support of or belief in something. How many different things does that actually refer to? This is a very specific set of words meant to convey an ideal.
Yeah,
And right now we're looking at, okay, we can say rabid feminism, which in the English world is one of the most common occurrences of an extreme or fanatical support of or belief in something.
most definitely.
Now, in a few years, that could change as we're importing all of these Islamic refugees, etc., into the English-speaking world who are not assimilating at all.
Yeah,
And they have an extreme or fanatical support of or belief in Islam and the destruction of the West. So do we absolutely tear apart Islam in the dictionary, which social justice warriors would pounce all over and practically tear the building to the ground?
yes.
Or we go up against feminism, which largely in our day and age, despite the fact that they do make quite a great deal of noise, don't actually go around destroying much. Like feminism gave us the slut walk where a bunch of them walked around topless. I
I
can't
was
say that
okay
I
with that.
I can't say that I was okay with many of the people that showed up to support that, but there were a few that were uh, shall we say, fine representations of the human species.
Yep. That's a good way to put it.
Some good-looking men showed up too. I'm not gonna lie on
Yes,
that.
let's not be sexist here. Come on now.
Yes, let's not be sexist.
Beautiful
Not
people from
entirely,
both
anyways.
sexes.
But this whole idea of sexism stems from a what I thought used to be common sense.
Yeah.
You have to discriminate when it comes to things.
Yeah, it's
Do
part of
you?
the judging process. It's a human reaction. Like it's part of the flight or fight process.
Yes, but back in the 1970s and 80s, uh, thinking, judging things became a hate crime.
Wow.
You can't say, oh, he's black, I don't particularly care for him. It has to stem from a complete and utter pure place that does not exist anywhere in humanity. Basically, the whole premise of modern day feminism is this intersectional idea, saying that because of your prejudices, because of the fact that I'm white, because of the fact that I'm male, I cannot understand the sheer amount of pressure and pain and suffering that a black woman has had to go through.
What's pain and suffering? No, just kidding.
Pain, agony. Uh, but that may be true, but that is the whole reason the English language was created, to give us a way of expressing ourselves, to say, you know what, I don't understand what black culture has had to go through. I don't understand what women go through right now. Let's sit down and have a conversation about it. Let's go to the English dictionary and let's find a way to communicate. The language is literally this magical construction that allows us to take the thoughts and ideas and dreams and everything that goes on inside our head, firing off trillions of electronic connections every single second, and form them into something tangible and give it to someone else. And then they can take it and put it into their own mind and allow it to mingle with their own ideas, and both of us become stronger for the dialogue.
Yep.
That is what language is.
Mm-hmm.
And at this point, they're trying to tear even that down. So I understand the basic premise of this intersectionality bollocks. But what it's doing is it's saying that we're not even allowed to have the discussion anymore. We're simply right and you are wrong. And that is the very definition of an extreme or fanatical belief in something. And so men and women are feminists. You hear some of them say this. Some of them say that men cannot be feminists because they don't understand what women have been through.
Yeah.
But they can be allies of
Yeah.
feminism.
Yep.
So that's sexist.
Steve Shives, we're looking at you.
Yes, Steve Shoves. But, that's sexist in the extreme. That's literally excluding an entire gender from having womankind's best interests at heart.
Yeah.
But on top of that, they're saying now that just saying feminism is sexist against women only, just women.
Yeah, with that example, that's what they're trying
So this
to
is
say.
a man saying that as a feminist, which he claims to be, that he's not allowed to be a feminist because saying feminism is sexist against only women.
What the fuck? That's all I have to say to that. Just what the fuck?
The sheer amount of doublethink that has to go into justifying his position is astounding.
Yeah, I cannot wrap my mind... fuck it. I cannot wrap my mind around that.
Anyways, this second example here.
Alright, you want to
Go
go
for
ahead
it.
and read this one?
Noun. In the singular, a shrill sound or cry. The rising shrill of women's voices. Aside from my voice, I can't think of too many people who have higher-pitched voices than women.
Well,
Some of
honestly,
them
like, you're
talk
still a
deeper than
lower
me.
pitch than most women, honestly. Like, other than, like,
In
maybe
many
Emma
cases.
Stone.
Well,
She sounds like she smokes a lot, but we're going off topic.
that's kind of sexy and husky, not gonna lie.
Yeah, I mean, I think her voice is cute, but But how is this dude, like, he's going to Oxford, he's about to be a doctor, and he can't
Well, I don't
understand.
think he's going to Oxford. He was literally on a MacBook, and he opened up this app on Macintosh
Or yeah,
that
not going to
links
Oxford. What am I
directly to the Oxford English Dictionary because Oxford is a supporter of Mac or
Yeah.
Apple. And so they've got this deal going on where every Apple product, be it a phone, a tablet, a computer, comes out and it's got Oxford English Dictionary available on it. It's just an app that comes standard on many devices.
Yeah.
And so what he is he's doing all of his research on a Mac, which first off makes him a freaking...
Dumbass.
No, Mac is outstanding for specific uses,
They're just
but
overpriced, I think.
Apple products use a metal that comprises less than 0.01% of the Earth's crust. And it uses it in every single one of their products. And so they literally have a monopoly on this particular type of metal that they put into their products. And they use all kinds of strip mining operations that use extremely cheap, or in some cases, indentured labor. And they condone all of this. And I believe there was a story several years ago about one of Apple's companies in China had their workers in such terrible conditions that at least 3 to 4 times a week, people were climbing up to the top of the building and jumping off of it to kill themselves, to get away from making Apple products.
Yeah.
And Apple's response was to build a safety net around the building so that people couldn't do that anymore.
Yeah, let's not be better employers. Let's just make sure they can't do that.
Yeah.
A little bit ridiculous,
But it just makes him a pretentious asshole who buys an expensive product simply for the reason that it is expensive, and it makes him stand out and be set apart from other people.
Yeah,
This guy's literally just a pretentious jerk.
He's buying it for the brand name. But I just don't understand how somebody who can be pursuing a doctorate doesn't understand that women have a different anatomy to their vocal cords that makes them higher pitched and more shrill.
Well, honestly, this is one of the only examples that he gives that I can actually agree with, because in my mind, shrill has always been associated with a whistle.
Okay.
The type of whistle that they use at track meets and sporting events and referees lets out an extremely shrill, piercing sound that goes above and beyond all of the action to let everyone know, hey, need your attention right here, right now. And so this is one of the few examples at all that I can actually get behind and say, you know what, Oxford English Dictionary could have said the rising shrill of a police whistle trying to get a criminal to stop.
Yeah, they could have done that.
Or any one of a dozen examples involving a whistle. The rising shrill of a whistle signaling a dog herding sheep. Something.
Yeah.
So this is one of the few that I can actually agree with. But in order to agree with him, you have to double think your way all the way to a point where you're not allowed to judge anyone or anything. And at that point in time, why even have a language? Why even have a definition for a word? Well, you need to look up the dictionary definition of feminism. Okay, I looked up the dictionary definition of feminism. This is what it is. Well, that's not our feminism. The dictionary doesn't apply to feminism.
But they'll still attack the dictionary for other examples.
Exactly. And that's the kind of double, triple, quadruple think that has my mind doing flip-flops if I try to follow them. Yeah. And so I have to retreat from that and just say, you know, obviously I am not intelligent enough to understand the position that you're coming from. So why don't you go invent a language, give me a course on it, and once I have the course and your new dictionary that has all your definitions in it, then we can have a conversation. But until we can speak the same language, which you're not allowing us to do by trying to change the Oxford English Dictionary, let's not even have the conversation. You say you want to have a conversation about rape. You want to have a conversation about domestic violence. You want to have a conversation about sexual assault. You want to have a conversation about all of these things. We cannot have that discussion until we can agree on a language to have that discussion in. So let's get to that instead of ripping each other apart.
Yeah. So you want to move on to the next one?
Yeah, you got this one.
All right. Psyche, noun, the human soul, mind, or spirit. And the example sentence is, I will never really fathom the female psyche. This one I do kind of agree with, but also it's clear that a male's writing it, and if a female were to write it, she'd probably say she doesn't understand the male psyche, because it's hard to wrap your mind around a brain that is scientifically proven to be designed very similar, but with some distinct differences.
And I can't really argue with that either, but there are so many definitions that are sexist against men, but because we're men, we can't complain about that. Women just get to complain about this.
Well, we're privileged.
And I was looking through, I don't have the Oxford English Dictionary, but I do have the Encyclopedia Britannica. I bought some, my ex-wife purchased a set of leather-bound, gold leaf-edged Encyclopedia Britannica books.
Wow.
They're absolutely gorgeous. And it comes with a dictionary. And I was just looking through the A's, and my tally came up to something like 39 that were sexist against men and 41 that were sexist against women. Yes, slightly favoring the women, but that's an extremely slim margin on the first 10 or so pages of this encyclopedia.
You hear that, feminists? You're almost to equality. You just got to get 2 more on the men's side.
And I'm pretty sure if I had continued looking, I would have found more, but we were running short on time to get this video out.
Yeah.
So, but, I will never understand the human psyche, particularly as long as it harbors the capacity to be both senselessly and needlessly violent in the case of so many in the criminal justice system.
Yep.
And in the sense that it can be so absolutely head over heels, smitten with love, and completely insensate as far as being able to participate in a reasonable discussion while their mind is all aflutter. So I will never understand the human psyche at all. Women are complex, but not impossible to understand. The issue is that you can't try to understand all women. You have to pick a handful and know them. And that creates a personal, distinct relationship that people are moving away from.
Yeah.
And I think that is the real crime here. Not saying that you'll never understand the female psyche, because I promise you, in every locker room, everywhere in the freaking world, those words have been uttered at least once. Perhaps not using the lofty language of the $23 Oxford word psyche, but more of a, damn, I ain't never gonna understand women. And I don't know why
Man,
I went black
bitches
there,
be
but
crazy. You know that, man?
bitches be crazy. Male bitches and female bitches
Yes.
be crazy. True story.
Bitch
But
is not a sexist word. I've called many men it. I have called many women it.
there's actually a store in Australia, and I absolutely love this place. It's called the Bitch and Hound. And it's a great place. Aussies, you guys rock.
Yes,
True story.
they're awesome. So,
So-
next one?
Alright, research. The systematic investigation into and study of materials and sources in order to establish facts and reach new conclusions. The group carries out research in geochemistry, medical research. He prefaces his study with a useful summary of his own researches.
Okay, so I just want to point out this. Oh, and also let's just read his tweet. Look who does the research in at Oxford Words Dictionary. Men, you couldn't make this level of sexism up. So I just want to point out that
he
he's
noticed
only
that it
targeting
said group.
one of the 3 example sentences. He's like, the group carries out research in geochemistry. That mentions no sex. Medical research, that mentions no sex. But just because it says he prefaces his study with a useful summary of his own researches, now it's automatically sexist. It's like, can we just acknowledge that males do dominate most scientific fields? Like, these
I don't
people
know.
are just flipping out because they can't embrace facts.
I don't think he's flipping out that he can't embrace facts, and I don't entirely agree with the idea that men dominate a field. When I was going to college, we had a class on theoretical computation. And out of the class, there were 9 males and 1 woman. Which, it's very, very male-dominated, particularly in computers at the moment.
Yeah.
But this woman chose to take the class. And I keep hearing about this glass ceiling where women are just prevented from entering into these things. However, in this classroom, every single time, as soon as her voice was heard, even if she wasn't directly participating in a discussion that was going on, if she said something, anything in the room, everyone, all of these males, including the instructor, immediately silenced to hear her out. Is that a glass ceiling, or is that respectfully listening to all of her ideas and questions and trying to make sure that she's included in every discussion that's going on?
I'm pretty sure it's the latter.
That's what I thought, but, intersectionality, I just will never understand the amount of sexism and discrimination that was going on against her in that particular room.
Yeah.
But
Completely flew over your head.
it did. It really did. But we're looking at Oxford English Dictionary. We need modern-day language examples of a word. You go to a spelling bee.
Yeah.
What do they do?
If you ask for a definition, they'll read out a definition from the dictionary.
They read out a definition. Something that makes sense to you. Something that you've encountered on your day-to-day basis.
Which I've never really understood how that helps somebody spell a word, but that's
Homophones.
Ah.
Just saying. Rap and rap.
Mm-hmm.
I saw a second grade English spelling bee where that ended up losing it for a kid who was in the final round.
Okay.
Forgot to ask for a definition and spelled W-R-A-P.
When they were talking
lost.
about the genre?
Yep.
Okay. Makes sense. Well, that
So
clarifies something for me. You learn something new every day.
But also, Latin, the root of most Western languages,
Yep.
contains marker words. Things that give context to everything that's going on around them. So if you've never heard of something before, then hearing it in a context where you understand all of the rest of the context, instead of Z prefaces Zur research, or Zur study, with a useful summary of Z's own researches.
Just sounds fucking goofy.
At that point in time, I'm standing up on stage at the spelling bee, grabbing the microphone and going, "What the fuck did you just say?" In a spelling bee, just because I can. What the fuck are you talking about? Because it's not language that I am used to, and I'm just sitting there going, "Are you drunk?
Are you slurring your words right now, buddy?
Is he drunk?"
I think you meant to say he or her, not Zur. What the fuck is that? Xerxes from 300? That was a good movie.
The sequel was not as good. True story.
All right, let's I think
But
you can go ahead and make a last point if you'd like to. I'm just going to go ahead and scroll down on this. You guys aren't seeing the capture because I'll just screenshot it and put it up on screen for you guys, but this is how we got to record it.
10 Valentine's Day facts you do not want to know.
Oh boy.
Interesting.
Why
No,
would I even click on that?
That's
I don't want to know
clickbait.
them.
That's clickbait. It's like, you do not want to know.
Yeah.
Well, if I don't want to know, bye.
All right, last one. Housework, noun. Regular work done in housekeeping, especially cleaning and tidying. She still does all the housework. This one, I kind of see where he's coming from.
Women are better at it.
They
They're
are.
much more detail-oriented when it comes to cleaning. When
They
I
are.
clean, I grab everything and I move it and I sweep the floor and I wipe down the surfaces that I use regularly. I don't wipe down the trinket shelf. I don't wipe down the mantelpiece. It's just, it's not something I worry about. It's just we throw the trinkets up there. They look nice.
Yeah.
When guests are coming over, we run over it with a duster real quick. It doesn't matter. You sweep, you mop, you make sure that everything looks generally tidy. But women have this much better organizational skill, particularly when it comes to packing for a long trip, when it comes to organizing a house. They understand feng shui, the spirit of comfort in a home, much better than most men will. Some men have actually managed to tap into it and get that vibe, and those are fantastic individuals who have a talent for it. Not all women can do it. However, as a generality, which the Oxford English Dictionary must use to give a general definition and a general context for a word, that, most women are simply better at it. Why can't they just accept that?
I have no idea. It's like African Americans bitching because they dominate the sports right now.
They don't, though.
They do a few of them.
A tiny minority of them. However, in let's look at the two different kinds of entertainment right now. Let's look at the movie industry.
Uh-huh.
And let's look at sports.
Okay.
Let's look at which one of them is objective.
Sports.
Exactly. You go to entertainment and you get these people who are just like, oh, thank you so much for all these accolades. I want to thank so-and-so and such and this mentor that I had. I'm awesome. I'll sign your autographs later.
Yeah.
In sports, you go over to sports and you can objectively see who's better. If you score points, you're better than the people who didn't score points.
Precisely.
If you're able to run the ball 30 yards, you are objectively better than somebody who can run the ball 29 yards.
Yeah, obviously.
And so in sports, the people who are the best for the job get the job.
Yep.
Like, how many Asians do you see playing basketball?
None, but that's because statistically they are averagely shorter.
There's at least one. Very much so. But there's at least one. He's like a 7'2" Chinese guy.
Yep. Yao Ming, I believe his name is. I'm not a big sports fan, so
I'm not huge on sports myself. I actually just barely survived the Super Bowl party yesterday.
We had a Harry Potter marathon instead of a Super Bowl party, so.
Well, my Panthers were playing, and they had 2 or 3 turnovers, and I stopped watching after the second one. I was just like, yeah, game's over. It wasn't a good Super Bowl.
I see.
But, there are a tiny minority of Asians in basketball.
Yep.
However, they are overrepresented in the U.S. in the maths and sciences. And so we've got this minority group for whom everything you can say about white male privilege, you can say twice about Asian privilege.
Yep. They also make
represented in math sciences. They make more money than most other people.
Yep.
They have much more prosperous society. There's less crime in Asian neighborhoods.
Yep. Most
Asian neighborhoods. Little China in New York might be a major exception to that.
Yeah.
And so everything you can say about Caucasian male privilege, you can say about all Asian male and female privilege.
Yep.
But it's not said because they're a minority. And when you bring that up against anybody who's in the social justice genre, they barely acknowledge it and they try and get away from it.
Yeah.
Because it's like facts and logic, they cause an allergic reaction.
Yeah. They don't like it. Well, it only causes an allergic reaction when it proves them wrong.
Yeah.
If it backs up what they're saying, then they're all over it, and they won't shut up about it for fucking ever.
Well, in those cases, what we should do is immediately acknowledge that they are correct about that.
Yeah.
And then move on.
Yep. And
they'll continue to crow about that little tiny victory for so long that they look retarded. And we'll win the argument that way.
That's not PC. Mentally disabled. Sorry, I had to say.
I think actually that's not PC anymore, and it's now handy-capable.
Oh my god.
I think is what they have moved on to.
Oh my god.
Like transabled.
Oh jeez.
I can't keep up with the special. The special snowflake syndrome, and I'm just like, guess what? Global warming may soon be a thing, and all these special snowflakes are going to melt in a fiery inferno, and it's going to be great.
Yeah, hopefully. Let's go ahead and take a look at. Okay, Oxford replied If only there were a word to describe how strongly you felt about feminism. I kind of just want to clap Oxford here, because at least they're not like every other company that just immediately submits to their will.
Yeah.
I mean, this is obviously, and this girl's right. Surely your response to valid criticism, well, I don't know how right that part is, but of
Did
sexist
you read her
definitions,
tweet before you said she was right?
yeah, of sexist definitions isn't a dismissive tweet implying Omen Reagan is a rabid ABT femme? What the fuck is ABT?
I'm not sure.
Okay, well, I guess.
Oh, is rabid about feminism.
Oh,
The
okay.
144 character limit has forced her to abbreviate words.
Yeah, that's why I don't like
Wouldn't
Twitter.
it be nice if something existed that actually gave us guidelines for abbreviating words so that we could continue to be understood even in shortened communications protocols? Oh wait, there's something called what is it? Uh the dictionary. Right, yeah.
That you guys are just tearing apart right now.
Oh jeez. I know you guys can't see it, but I'm face palming. It's just
And then Oxford's reply to her, our point is that rabid isn't necessarily a negative adjective, and that example sentence needn't be negative either. I completely agree. Rabid should not be a negative word. It should just be a synonym for passionate. Brooke, I don't. We'll probably block out her name as she's not trying to. Whatever. She says, are you seriously claiming the word rabid with origins in madness and violence isn't necessarily negative? I didn't realize that it had origins in madness and violence. I mean, I guess rabies stems from rabid, I believe, doesn't it?
yes.
So, kind of see where she's coming from.
And we don't see rabies very often in the developed world.
Yeah, not anymore, really.
But if you take a step back, you sort of have to admire it because it is one of those pathogens that actually compels the host to spread it. Comparing women to dangerous dogs with a disease that makes them mad and foaming at the mouth isn't negative.
Yeah, that seems, well, that's kind of like a loaded response anyway.
It's a guided question meant to be a gotcha.
Yeah.
But rabies and being rabid came from the Mongols were referred to as something similar that ultimately became rabid. They were destroyers. It could not be stopped.
Yep. Genghis Khan.
Oh yes. So the word is not only steeped in negative things. It was written in admiration of other cultures and other ideas that were so powerful that they practically forced themselves onto others.
Yes.
Which one could consider that a type of cultural rape, and of course that's extremely negative, and then we get into the whole Oxford is wrong again. But again, you have to be doing a whole lot of doublethink and overthinking to try and get to that conclusion.
Mm-hmm.
So this series of tweets is literally people getting mad for being compared to slobbering dogs.
Which, by their own actions, is kind of a...
exactly how they respond.
Yeah. It's an appropriate response and an appropriate comparison, I think.
I think that the example is almost more valid than the Islamic one.
Yeah.
These people cling so strongly to what I see as a partially false narrative.
Yeah.
They hold to it and they try to force it onto other people. When you have a discussion with a feminist, it is not two reasonable people discussing facts to try to draw their own conclusions. It is one person and a feminist trying to convert them to feminism.
Hold on, did you just say that feminists aren't people? I'm just waiting for that comment.
Pretty much, yes. Uh,
Don't let him censor you, Mike.
fuck it. Fuck it. Fuck it, we'll do it live. Um, and the issue that I have with that is the same that I have with Christians trying to force other people. And I say that as a conservative Christian.
Yeah.
Like, your belief system is like a penis. As long as you keep it to yourself, it's fine. But as soon as you take it out and start trying to shove it down other people's throats, you are in the wrong.
Yep.
And that goes with any kind of belief. That's a scientific belief that is not yet verified as fact. That goes with feminism. That goes with Christianity. That goes with Catholicism. That goes with Islam. As long as you are keeping it to yourself, as long as you are being respectful of others, that's the core tenet of everything that I live by, is try and be respectful of other people's beliefs, even if you don't understand them.
So, to wrap it up, Oxford said that its example sentences are extracted from the world's newspapers and magazines, academic journals, fiction, and blogs. So, if they're not actually writing these example sentences, they're just pulling them from other sources. Why is it Oxford's fault? Because they're perpetuating patriarchy? Would that be their response?
If there was a patriarchy, I might.
Well, I don't believe in patriarchy. I'm
you.
just playing devil's advocate here.
Well, you're not playing devil's advocate. You're at the moment defending Oxford, and what you're looking at is a team of educated individuals.
Yeah.
Looking for examples of the word in text.
Yeah.
And they're looking for modern references. We're not looking for Middle Ages Shakespearean discussions.
Yep.
There are approximately 1,025,109.8 words in the English language.
Jesus.
And what we're looking at is a small group of individuals who are trying to find representations of every single one of 1,025,109.8 words. Now, this could be considered some laziness on the part of the researchers or interns or whoever it is that's being responsible for this particular thing.
Mm-hmm.
Or it could be considered expedience, trying to make sure that the people who need to understand the language have rapid access to it at all times. And as the definition evolves, as new words get added, to have those things available as soon as possible. And what you have to do is not just find a definition. All you have to do is you just type in Google and type in the word and then click the very first link that comes up and hope you got a good definition. No. These people have to look at dozens of representations in many different popular versions of literature to go through dozens of books and say, how many times is this word represented? How many times is it used in this context? How many times is it used in that context? And then choose the most popular, most widely known, most readily available context to put into the dictionary to say, this is what the word means and this is how it's used.
Yeah.
And then have people be able to immediately say, oh, hey, I saw that movie. Oh, hey, I read that book. Oh, yeah, I saw that in a news article the other day. Okay, that makes more sense now.
Yeah.
And when you start trying to tear that process apart by starting at the end result and saying, well, it's all sexist and you're all sexist and you suck. For a PhD candidate.
Yeah.
That is a shameful use of your time and your mental faculties.
I agree 100%. And
that's my final word on it.
Yeah, I hope that hopefully this dude will spend his time a little bit more wisely, and hopefully when he does get his PhD in whatever he's pursuing, he actually focuses on his career rather than this. Because if he's actually going to be a doctor, I don't want him performing a surgery on somebody and thinking, the name of this organ is a little bit sexist.
not all doctorates are medical degrees.
Yeah. Well, guys, you heard our opinions on it. If you disagree, let us know in the comments below. Make sure you actually type out a thoughtful reason why, because if it's just like, fuck you because fuck you, we're going to ignore that. But also, feel free to go ahead and check out our Facebook page. I'll link it down in the description box below. And you can also message us there if you want to talk to us more personally. We'll catch you guys in the next video, and if you enjoyed it, feel free to subscribe and contribute to the conversation in all of our videos. That'd be quite awesome. We'll catch you guys on the next one.